Okay, conventions of standard English. We have a grammar issue, quick vertical scan. I see long answer choices, which suggests a possible modifier issue. I see nouns, not a noun, an apostrophe, which is typical for a modifier answer choice, and another noun. Okay, this is probably modifier issue. So we're going to look for a dependent clause, comma, set up for the beginning of one sentence, and I see it already. African-American Percy Julian was a scientist and entrepreneur whose work helped people around the world to see. Here's our dependent clause, this past participle. Named in 1999 as one of the greatest achievements by U.S. chemists in the past 100 years, comma, and then the noun we have to put in. The noun must be modified by the clause before it. So who was named as one of the, well, it's not a who, named as one of the greatest achievements in the past 100 years. It won't be Julian himself. It won't be in, and it could be the alkaloid physotene was synthesized in 1935, or would it be Julian's 1935 synthesis? I think it would be the synthesis, would be. So one of the greatest achievements by a chemist in the past 100 years, that would refer to Julian's synthesis of the alkaloid physotene, whatever that is, right? So I think that would be the achievement that the dependent clause is referring to. So that should be the noun. That should be the noun right next to the dependent clause, correctly modifying it. Let's just check D again. Could it be as one of the greatest achievements, the alkaloid no, this is a noun that's not an achievement, so definitely not D. C is the answer. Conventions of standard English. This is a grammar question. And if I look at it, again, I've got some longer answers here. Sumerians, drinking, a verb. The use of, ancient Mesopotamia. So I've got a couple nouns and variations of that. This is probably, and I clearly see a dependent clause or a phrase, far from being modern inventions, comma, blank more than 5,000 years ago. So what is far from being modern inventions? We have to find the right noun that refers, this dependent clause refers to. Far from being modern inventions. Sumerians are not a modern invention. Drinking straws. Drinking straw, that wasn't a verb, it's actually a noun. Drinking straws, well, that could be a modern invention. I think so. Let's check the others. The use of drinking straws, that's not a modern invention. And ancient Mesopotamia is not a modern invention. B, it's drinking straws. Far from being a modern invention, drinking straws were used by Sumerians in ancient Mesopotamia more than 5,000 years ago. B is the correct modifier for the dependent clause that precedes it, or the correct noun that's being modified. Okay, this is a grammar question. I see different playas, sediments mark the rocks. Okay, it looks like we're going to have a singular, plural, possessive, non-possessive type issues going on here. So let's take a look. In Death Valley National Park's racetrack playa, a flat, dry lake bed, are 162 rocks, some weighing less than a pound, but others almost 700 pounds, that move periodically from place to place, seemingly of their own volition. Racetrack-like trails in the playa's sediment marks the rock's mysterious migration. Okay, so there are multiple rocks, and it is the rock's migration. So the rock owns or possesses the migration. So it can't be apostrophe S, can't be no apostrophe. It's going to be S apostrophe, and it's going to be therefore C or D, not A and B. Okay? Racetrack-like trails in the playa's sediment. So the playa owns the sediment, and is playa singular or not? Death Valley National Park's racetrack-like playa. So playa is singular, I think. So in the playa's sediment. No, yeah, I think playa is singular. So it would be apostrophe S in the playa's settlement, right? So it's not D because that would suggest it's plural. It'll be several playas sediment, and that's not right. It has to agree. If you have several playas, you'd probably have sediments. Several playas have sediments, plural. A singular playa has a sediment. So C is going to be correct. Okay, this is a grammar question, conforms to the conventions of standard English. Let's do a quick vertical scan. I've got grains, I've got all kinds of apostrophes and possession issues here. Let's read. Cheng Dang and her colleagues at the University of Washington recently ran simulations to determine the extent to which individual snow grains' physical properties affect the amount of light reflecting off a snowy surface. So individual snow grains' physical properties. So do the grains own the physical property? Yeah, there are multiple snow grains. To which, well, no, it says individual snow grains. So I take that back. It's an individual snow grain, and it does possess the physical properties. So it's not no apostrophe. It's not S apostrophe for plural grains. It's got to be apostrophe S. A is the only answer that fits. Let's just make sure it fits elsewhere. Individual snow grains' physical properties affect the amount of light reflecting off a snowy surface. No. The properties, physical properties, is not possessive. So properties don't possess affect. The grains, physical properties affect, no, it should be properties affect without any punctuation. So hold on, we've got an issue here. Let's assess the whole thing all over again. I want properties affect, the properties plural affect. Okay, I don't want the apostrophes. So that suggests B or D. So the snow grains, the individual snow grains is possessive, so that's not it. Is it B? Yes, it's going to be. That would have been the other option if we had suggested that S apostrophe could be correct, that it's plural grains. It did say the extent to which individual snow grains' physical properties. But again, properties plural must be matched with grains plural. Therefore, it's S apostrophe. I missed that one on the first check. B is the correct answer. Okay, conforms to the conventions of standard English. This is grammar. It looks like it's going to be a pronoun issue here. She, they, it, those. So is it personal, plural, singular, what? The human brain is primed to recognize faces. So much so that due to a perceptual tendency called pareidolia, she will even find faces in clouds. No, the brain is what we're referring to. This is the antecedent to the word. Every pronoun has an antecedent, which the pronoun must agree in number and gender. And in this case, it's not a person, it's a brain. And a brain isn't plural, so it's not they or those. It would be singular, it. The human brain is primed to recognize faces, so much so that it, I'll pull this parenthetical out, that it will even find faces in clouds. C is the correct answer. Conforms to conventions of standard grammar. This is a grammar question, okay? They accumulate, one accumulates, it accumulates, we accumulate. So singular, plural, pronoun issue here. Let's take a look. Official measurements of the Mississippi River's length vary. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the river is 2,300 miles long, whereas the EPA records its length as 2,320. Really? They're only off by 20 miles. That's less than 1%. Okay. This disparity can be explained in part by the fact that rivers such as the Mississippi expand and contract as they accumulate, one accumulates. No, not one. That's kind of an indefinite person. It accumulates, no, it's not us, so it's not we. It's going to be either they, plural, or it. And let's see, what's the antecedent noun here? So what is it that's accumulating? This disparity can be explained in part by the fact that rivers, such as the Mississippi, expand and contract as rivers expand and contract as they accumulate sediment. Who accumulates the sediment? The rivers, not the disparity, not the fact. The rivers accumulate. So rivers is plural, so it should be they, I believe. This disparity can be explained in part by the fact that rivers such as the Mississippi expand and contract as they accumulate sediment. not as it accumulates. This is plural rivers. A should be the correct answer.